All right, first question. I'm having difficulty staying monogamous. Nothing has actually happened, but a few times I have developed feelings for different people after spending time with them. What do you think is going on, and what should I do?
You can feel that spark with someone you meet at the grocery store. You can feel that spark with a friend. The polarizing spark can happen with other people that are not your partner, because that's what happens between the masculine and feminine. It's speaking to having a good connection with someone. Yeah. It may be just a sign, a nudge from your intuition that you're actually desiring to go deeper with your partner.
Yeah, I think if you're in a relationship and you find yourself having a spark with other individuals, you build rapport easily with other individuals. There's even if there's a flirtatious energy about some of the exchanges, but you're not wanting to, have sex with them, don't beat yourself up. That's a very normal thing.
Welcome back to the Medicine Podcast. This is the Chase and Mimi show with Chase and Mimi.
I thought you were going to say this is the Chasen one.
You
which
wish.
Is my Instagram handle.
You wished. You did divulge that you wished people would call you
the amount of times I've been
one.
stopped in the street and just people going, oh my God, is that the Chasen one?
Actually, a couple of people have recognized you and us out in public,
true.
which is which is just kind of a surreal moment. It's like, wait, what?
The best one for me was I was out to lunch, I think, with
Andy.
It was a bunch of coworkers at Organifi and a bunch of my team members and partners and things like that. And someone comes up to me and she goes, "Are you Chase from the Medicine?" And I stood up and puffed my chest up. I'm like, well, yes, I am. And everybody was quite baffled of my celebrity status.
Yeah, they were very impressed. I remember Andy, when I saw him, he was told me the story, and he was like, yeah, she was a really pretty girl. He was trying to I don't know, make me jealous or something.
It's happened a few times. Well, we've been stopped many times at the beach in Coronado. Mm-hmm. Obviously, people know that that's where we live and hang out.
Yeah,
I think Nashville, we ran into somebody, and then the other time I was on a work call. We were talking with through Organifi with this analytics suite. It was like a data analytics tool, and this woman who was the sales rep essentially. We got into the conversation a bit further, and she's talking about you can, all the podcasts that you sponsor, you can run some analytics on there. And she's like, we casually start talking about podcasts, and she's like, I listen to this podcast called Medicine, and I'm like, I that's my podcast. And she was
she not
totally
recognize
tripping
you?
out. Well, I think at the time we were audio only.
Oh yeah, okay.
And so if you see my face on Zoom and you just see Chase Ramey, and she did say something like, "Oh, that's right, you're connected to Organifi," and she got super whatever it is, embarrassed or flushed or, but it was kind of trippy, and I only enjoyed it not because I have any desire to be a celebrity, but rather my peers.
Yeah, witnessing. Yeah, Chase is really cool.
My status, which felt very good in my body.
It's funny, even using the word celebrity in the same sentence as us, because it's
hilarious.
It's literally the furthest thing from a celebrity. Yeah. It's just people. We just hang out at certain spots, and it's just been right place, right time. Yeah. But it is kind of funny and fun when it happens.
Yeah, no, it's trippy to know that our reach, we've had over 1 million downloads and views, and that's just, and even though we're still a micro podcast, which, by the way, help us out, share the podcast, share the YouTube, and help us grow even further. Yeah. But it is trippy when you think about it and you try to quantify it. Okay, thousands and thousands of people, different people. We're talking football stadiums of people.
It's weird.
And that's a trip because I sometimes like to think that nobody cares, and that I can just hide in my little corner of the world. But then I remember we've done 4.5 years of basically an hour to 2 hours a week of talking.
You like to think that nobody cares?
Yeah.
Why?
Because it feels like there's no pressure. It feels like there's not a responsibility that I have to, be a good person.
Most of the feedback comes through me, either through email, or DMs or,
Yeah.
things like that. I guess we both see the YouTube comments and stuff, but that's fairly, newer.
Yeah. I've just come to grips with the fact that my life doesn't facilitate a robust social media
Yeah.
outlet. It just doesn't.
But, on that note, if you guys do appreciate our show or anything that we share, whether it's guests or just us bantering, we would love to hear about it. It's with podcasting, it is hard because all you're looking at is like downloads and listens.
Yeah.
You're not getting any direct feedback via comments unless it's on YouTube or whatever. And so anytime you guys do share, feedback or if you want to go on and leave a, 5-star review, that really does help us.
It really does.
Believe it or not.
If you like the show, it's massive if you subscribe to the YouTube.
Yeah.
If you just even like the episode, even if all you're doing is listening, if you go in and like the episode, drop a comment about what resonated, that really helps us as we're trying to get more and more content on YouTube. It's really where the future of content is going to live and exist, predominantly more so than just the podcast platforms. And so that would be really helpful. Would absolutely love that. All right. Well,
You sound a little better today.
yeah, no, I'm getting a little better. I have had a cold. We've been recording some podcasts, unfortunately, during this period of time where I've had the first cold of my adult life. I had COVID a couple times here in the last few years, as has 99% of people. But except for the purebreds out there who've just
Somehow just
There's a
dodging
couple.
bullets like
Yeah.
Neo.
But I've been sort of like reminded of how even just a cold can be quite inconvenient. And one of the things that I didn't know was a thing, and maybe others experience this as well, but I've been blowing my nose, as many do, with stuffy noses. And I've developed a trifecta of like cysts. So like the spots.
That's how you pronounced that. Cysts.
Well, there's lots of and I needed to ensure that the listener understood what I was saying. So I blow my nose and I pressurize my left and right nostril with the Kleenex or the tissue paper.
I love this play-by-play.
And that excessively over days has created, I don't know, a blocked pore or something.
Probably mucus that's left over just blocking that pore.
Yay, fun. 3 of them in a triangle. So left nostril, right nostril, Rudolph tip of the nose. Now, fortunately,
I can't see
they're
any
not
of them.
overly visible.
No, I can't
but
see any of them.
beneath the surface,
Yeah, those ones suck.
they're like lava. They're burning and they're pulsing.
Yeah, the ones that are really painful.
They
like,
have a heartbeat.
yeah, seriously, those suck. I've had many of those in my day where I'll be complaining about it and you'll look at me and be like, I don't see anything. There's nothing there. And I'm like, no, it is. It's really painful. It's under the surface. And then, God forbid, you make the mistake of like trying to push it to the surface.
No, I'm not doing that. I know better.
Well, we've learned now.
Well, I
But,
know
like,
better. I've never done that.
You've never done that. Yeah, right. Every human has done that where they're like, I think I can do it.
Not
I
as
think
it yet? I'll make it as it.
That just makes it 10 times worse. Oh, man.
All that to say, I, again, have not been sick in my 30s. Basically, don't remember being sick in my 20s outside of maybe sometimes in college. And I'm like, man, this is a bummer. This is annoying.
Somehow I've skated by.
Shame on me for, I basically just stopped taking supplements this summer. Like, oh yeah, the sun just cures everything. And then we traveled and I had a few nights of bad sleep. And so it's my own fault.
And you've been working a lot and you've just had a lot on your plate. Like, I think sometimes people think that just because we're up here at the lake, like the lake house or whatever, it means that we're on vacation, but you're working more than maybe you ever have, up here. So yeah, we're definitely not vacationing. We work every day.
It does make it easier being able to jump in the water between phone calls or go out on the boat in the morning and the evening. But yes, during the day, it's, some days are 10 plus hours of laptop time, which is,
it feels like sacrilege up here.
Yeah.
I feel like all the bunnies and eagles are
feels like
judging
you're
me.
cheating on nature.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think it's time we get into the show. Enough about me and my cold.
Yeah.
We are once again jumping into the Chase and Mimi show where we deliver a meal, a multi-course meal, a la carte, if you will. That features.
Do you know what a la carte means?
Doesn't it mean like by the table?
I think a la carte means like you can order sides. Like if you were to go to a steakhouse and order a steak, but then order sides a la carte, they just bring them single.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing.
Okay.
We've got appetizers.
I just wanted to clarify.
Well, every time I've ordered a la carte, they bring a fucking cart to the side of the table, and they make like a Caesar salad right next to you. A la carte.
Oh, I love you.
Okay. Well, Jesus, let me get back to explaining the structure of the show. We break the show down into segments. We call them appetizers, if you will, where we choose topics pertaining to mindfulness, maybe some humor, maybe something cultural, maybe something pertaining to relationships, maybe something health related, before we get into the entree of the episode, which is questions from our listeners, questions from our communities. Most of the time, this is relationship related. We usually answer about 3 of them before we wrap the entire show up with a dessert, mostly a crazy story.
Yep.
And then we get out of here.
Yep. And I'm really excited to continue doing these shows because all the time we're thinking of new segments. Like we'll be in conversation out on a walk and we'll be in dialogue, not even trying to come up with anything. It's not like a brainstorming session. We'll just be talking. And then one of us will be like, ooh, that's a good segment. Whatever it is, we've come up with a few lately and we have a new segment today, which we won't spoil right now, but, I think all the millennials out there will appreciate this one. But first, I did want to share, to kick off the show, a customer testimonial that just like warmed my heart, made me smile, and I think can maybe be inspiration for other people out there on this particular topic. This is from a woman. She said, Intel AHCC helped clear my HPV and my very skeptical doctors were shocked. I've been dealing with it for a little over 5 years. They literally said to me, quote, well, it finally just went away on its own, end quote. But I know it was the Intel AHCC and I'm extremely thankful for it. I love getting that feedback. One, because so many women just feel like they're on their own, and men too, but mostly women is who I speak to and who I talk to, in DMs and things like that. People who have been diagnosed with HPV, which is 80 to 90% of the population at some point in their life. But oftentimes it's just not talked about enough. And so people feel like they don't have options. They don't know what to do. They usually just jump onto Dr. Google and it gets kind of like scary and confusing. And so knowing that people, women specifically, have options in the way of supporting their body, supporting their immune system to clear this thing naturally, just like warms my heart. I never get sick of hearing these testimonials. And I love that she said, like quoting them, like, whoa, they were shocked. It just went away on its own after 5 years.
I'm glad she was able to get such an expert's assessment and opinion that it just went away on its own. Well done. 12 years of education.
Yeah, totally.
Only to deliver such profound wisdom.
Yeah. So if, there's someone out there right now that's listening that probably just got diagnosed HPV positive because of how common it is. And, if you are looking for a way to support your body in clearing it naturally, there are plenty of things that you can do. One of those things is using something to support your immune system. And what better than the most potent, clinically researched specialty immune supplement in the world, Intel AHCC. It's not an HPV supplement. It's a full body support supplement. And HPV just happens to be one of the things that has been studied that shows that it's really supportive of eradicating it. But you can always hit me up if you have any questions about it. DM me. Mimi_the medicine, or you can always find Immune Intel on our website at themedicine.com. So there's my little fun customer testimonial.
Love it. I did not have it when we were traveling and when I got sick. And the moment we got back and I started just pumping my body full of AHCC, I started to turn the corner.
Yep.
All right. First segment, first appetizer of the day. One of our favorites.
This is a newer one too.
The times are tough, but the memes
are easy like Sunday morning.
All right, I'll start.
Okay.
We just need to invent a straw that lasts a little bit longer than 4 seconds, but still less than 1,000,000 years.
Seriously, where's the middle ground on that one? All right, I'll go. Next time your wife is angry, drape a towel over her shoulders like a cape and say, "Now you're super angry." Maybe she'll laugh. Maybe you'll die.
Why are girls allowed to say girlfriend to refer to a platonic friend, but I can't say this is my boy toy twink male wife Jason?
It is true. Even if they were just to say boyfriend.
Right.
Like, this is my girlfriend, Melissa. You hear that all the time.
I'm going to try that out with one of my friends.
This is my boyfriend. Oh, that's so funny. All right. Now that we're 10 years into 2024, how's everyone doing?
Classic. Love that one. Somehow the world just completely blew up the time continuum after the pandemic. One day you are young, and the next day you have to use 3 strategically placed pillows to sleep at night so your body does not break in half.
I literally was doing that last night. I had a pillow in my front, pillow in my back, laying on my side. Obviously, my head was on a pillow, and I still could not get comfortable. It's the worst. All right, next one for me. I'm often mistaken for an adult because of my age.
A lot of these are about the reality of our age. Once at a sleepover, I asked my friend if she wanted a midnight snack, and she said no because she wasn't hungry. No shit. I don't eat at midnight because I'm hungry. I eat because I'm empty inside. Now, would you like to have nachos with me or not, Rebecca?
That's great. Next one for me. I hate when people use military time. Like, okay, Lieutenant Dan, but what time is it really? When you see those people like that have their phone set to military time, you like glance at it and it says like 22:04, and you're like, I need something. Can someone else help me, please?
I hear your brother CJ saying that.
He keeps his phone on military time. He's one of these people.
Oh, Jesus.
I know.
I used to drink half a bottle of rum, then wake up at dawn and ace a biology test. Now I eat a salty snack too late at night, and I wake up like, my hydration levels will never recover from this.
So maybe Rebecca was right. Next one for me. Quote, "Oh, we're traveling. Cool. Let's get weird. Signed, my bowel movements."
Fuck. That one is so true.
Why?
God, I wish it just wasn't traveling only. Last one. I pushed it to 6 this time. Being around people that don't cuss makes me feel like I'm in an unsafe environment.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, it's fine. It's not like I want people to cuss or I need them to cuss, but if they don't at all, it makes me think, if I do it, are you like going to be offended?
It's PTSD for me going back to like K through 12 at a Christian school.
We were just talking about this the other morning on our walk, where I was talking about my 6th grade teacher. Shout out to Mrs. Appadale at Valley Christian School. She wouldn't even let us say like gosh or darn or dang, because she would say that like it's still a replacement for the curse word. So like every time she would hear someone say, "Oh my gosh," we would have to like write sentences.
Just go freaking like jack off, lady. just go get off. I want to like I want my spirit to travel back into my like elementary school body and just lose my shit in a classroom.
Like, do you realize how unreasonable this is, and like how much time and energy you're spending on things that do not matter in school?
Yeah.
All right, last one for me. Everybody has a drawer in their home that contains both garbage and the most important documents a human can have. And we just unanimously called it the junk drawer. I thought that was pretty good.
Next appetizer on the menu. We call this one Millennial Mindfulness, where we look back on the spiritual wisdom housed within the culture of the 90s and the early 2000s.
I love that one.
And today, we're unpacking some spiritual gems housed within 90s Disney movies. Why have we chosen this segment? Well, I find myself trashing Disney often, and it's their very corporate, kind kind of ickiness that drives me crazy. Everything
Yeah.
is requires you to pay through the nose to experience Disney. I feel like my rant with Disney is that this world encourages kids to grow up. Grow up, take things seriously. You need to start focusing on school. You need to stop goofing around. And then they sell you childlike bliss through theme parks, through subscriptions, through toys. It's like robbing you of your childhood, telling you to grow up, knowing that you're going to need it. You'll be nutritionally deficient of childlike bliss, and then selling it back to you. So I sometimes get on a soapbox of just like totally trolling Disney. All that to say, man, I'm a 90s kid. I grew up with these the golden era of Disney movies.
Classics.
And so I thought we would spend a little time thinking around, and this could probably be a recurring segment as it pertains to spiritual wisdom housed within these Disney movies. But I wanted to throw a bone back to the creators of some of these really beautiful stories and some of the wisdom that we can now look back on and see that it was nice programming. It was probably some good programming.
Yeah, I think the classics, we're going to talk about a few of them, but the classics of the 90s, between like 89 and 99, there was like, 7 or 8 just bangers. And the reason why these classic Disney movies, things like Lion King, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, not so much Little Mermaid, when I'm going to say my next thing and it'll apply, but definitely Lion King, definitely Aladdin. These movies, they nailed myth and the hero's journey. And those things never die. They never get old. They always resonate with people because we're all on our own hero's journey. And so the reason why these movies, like Lord of the Rings or Harry Potter, these are the ultimate hero's journey, that you're rooting for someone because you see yourself in them and like what you would do in these situations and how you would handle it. And, you get emotionally tied to these characters. And I think the classic Disneys from 89 to 99, these movies will never be rivaled with any other Disney movie. As good as Frozen is, it's just not the same, in my opinion. I could be biased, could have my millennial bias, of course, I admit that. But I think the writers and producers and animators back then had different values than the people who are making decisions at Disney now.
True.
Yeah.
So we chose Beauty and the Beast, Aladdin, and The Lion King. We'll talk about a couple little snippets from the movies and then what spiritual nugget we were able to pull from them. Beauty and the Beast, towards the end of the movie, Beast lets Belle leave the castle to go rescue her father. And he says, I let her go because I love her. When Beast lets Belle leave, it demonstrates the spiritual lesson of releasing attachment and the importance of free will within a loving relationship.
Yeah.
This is actually pretty mind-blowing because in our relationship story, in a lot of the work that we've done through our relationship, one of the things that we've said like repetitively through the last 4 years of this podcast is you have for a truly dynamite relationship, you have to love someone so much that you would allow or you would enable and leave room for that person to leave if that's what they so choose. Now, what feels amazing is when they continue to choose you, not out of obligation, but from a place of free will. But you have to leave the space in the relationship for that person to be able to make choices that they feel like they are free to make.
Compared to in the movie, compared to Gaston, right? He had the looks, he had the accolades and things like that compared to the Beast, which was an ugly, hideous beast or whatever. He was very pushy with Belle and tried to basically manipulate her into marrying him, even threatening having her father kidnapped and so she would marry him. Like there was no love there. There was no free will. There was no freedom.
And what's the end goal is for him.
Yeah.
And we talked in one of the episodes here a few weeks ago around the difference between infatuation and love. And infatuation, a lot of times, the end game is your own
It's an acquiring.
satisfaction. It's an acquisition.
Yeah.
Where love is actually abundant and unattached. And the beast does the same thing. He's holding Belle captive because he needs her to fall in love with him so that he can stop being this hideous monster and go back to being a human. But he actually gets to the point, you know, true love's kiss or whatever needs to like break the spell. But he actually gets to this point where he's like, fuck, dude. Whether it's about love or not, he just gets to this point where he genuinely actually loves this woman.
Well, he sees her pain.
And he sees that the best thing for her, not him, the best thing for her
is to go save her dad.
is to go save her dad.
Yeah.
So, whoa, what a little nugget.
Such a nug. So also within Beauty and the Beast, the 1991 classic Disney movie, you know, when I was thinking about this, the first things that came to my mind, I don't know how spiritual they are, but they're definitely character builders. Stand up for what you know is right, even if you were the only one standing. Obviously, I didn't come up with that. I think it's like it's an actual quote. But, you know, she was thought to be crazy. She was thought to be, you know, weird or unusual. She was like the odd one in her town. And then when it came to the point of like, you know, defending the beast, everyone else wanted to kill him and you know, go storm the castle and everything. And she wasn't afraid to be like, no, he's kind, he's gentle, and he helped me and this and that. And, you know, they looked at her like she was crazy, but of course we know she was right. I also have, don't be afraid to be the strange one. Lean into your idiosyncrasies, lean into the weird parts of you that make you. Don't just try to fit into the crowd, because ultimately it's not going to be fulfilling if it's not your true self. Also, I think this one's just practical. Everyone needs to live outside their hometown at some point in their life.
That's a good one.
Like if you are born and raised in the same city, you know, I think that it's valuable for all of us to find a time, even a year, where you're living outside of that to experience something else. And then if you decide, you know what, I really love my hometown, I want to go back. Great. Love that for you. But
go get yourself captured by a horned beast with fangs.
Totally.
Just so you can experience something else. Yeah, that's really good. You know, real question for me, and I think I've seen some memes about this, but at the end when the beast turns back to a human, it's like kind of disappointing.
Really?
Like he was kind of more alpha, like more masculine as the beast. I kind of feel like Belle was like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
I was kind of getting that beast kink. All right, moving on to Aladdin, 1992. My personal favorite Disney movie.
Yeah, it's definitely, it's up there. I don't know if I could choose between Aladdin and The Lion King, but they're neck and neck for me.
Okay.
I'll start this one. So this, here's a quote from the movie. Do not be fooled by its commonplace appearance. Like so many things, it is not what is outside, but what is inside that counts. That's the peddler.
The Robin Williams like narrator.
In the very beginning, the peddler. Another quote from Genie. I made you a prince, but I cannot make you a prince on the inside. So I think here it's, you know, really highlighting that external riches or status can be fleeting many times. And what is valuable are the inner virtues of kindness and honesty and humility, courage. And it takes Aladdin literally the entire movie to eventually realize that he doesn't need the title to be worthy of the princess. So
how spot on is that? Mm-hmm. Like, you know, what is the princess in your life? Sometimes that can quite literally be a woman or a man that you are looking to become worthy enough of their affection. But a lot of times it's like a job or a neighborhood, or we tell ourselves this story all the time that we're not worthy to participate in the thing that we desire. And like talking about manifestation, which we've talked about recently, that's like step number one. Is developing the self-esteem that you actually come to realize, even if you have some work to do, you are worthy of the work. You're worthy to participate in the process of becoming the person who would fill in the blank. Get the girl, have the house, go to the school, get the job. I worked for a really big firm coming out of college, and it's funny, I like struggled with worthiness because I felt like I kind of conned my way of getting into, all my peers were at very high level,
like Ivy League schools and stuff.
And I was from a liberal arts school and kind of like a dumb jock, And so I told myself this story, like, man, I don't know if I'm worthy. I'm kind of like not wanting to tell people
and
I came out of this.
Totally excelled.
Yeah, I did really, really well. But I think it's a really important point in the spiritual path in the life of personal development is dealing with worthiness. Now, if you're a narcissist, you may not have to worry about it. But a lot of us who come from a place of humility can slip into lack of worthiness for the things that we want to participate in life. So I really love that one.
And this is actually one of my issues with a lot of mainstream religions is because they're constantly telling you over and over and over that you're not worthy, and reminding you that you're not worthy, but Jesus is, so it's fine,
right.
Or whoever your God is fine. He has you, but like you're not good, but he's good.
Yeah.
And I just wholeheartedly disagree with that. We can still have respect and honor and love, reverence for these teachers, these characters, these, ascended masters without flogging ourselves and calling ourselves bad and unworthy. And, that's just something that I've come to really wholeheartedly disagree with after a lifetime of being told I'm unworthy.
Yeah. And the last one for me from Aladdin, and there's obviously many more, but but we went to Aladdin actually recently on Broadway, and it was freaking awesome. But after having not seen the story played out in a long, long time, I was like, man, the message of freedom is so profoundly felt while witnessing this story, and it's just a deep spiritual yearning that so many of us have, even if we can't pinpoint it. Freedom gets thrown around. It's very commercialized, but we all desire the liberation from this dense material world that we live in. It's hard, man. It's like we're born into an experience where our parents tell us everything that we should do. And once we finally leave the nest, we've got employers, we've got governments, we've got police, we've got culture telling us what to do. But to be liberated from that, that is freedom. And it's an internal journey. It's not one that you can necessarily achieve your way through. I think anybody financially successful will tell you it has to come alongside an internal realization that you are the one making the choices in your life. But to quote the late, great Robin Williams as Genie, he says, "But oh, to be free, not to have to go, poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? Poof, what do you need? But to be my own master." So I love that.
That's so good. Yeah, I love that. Yeah, really, all of the main characters, Genie, Aladdin, and Jasmine for sure, are all dealing with the archetype of freedom and how, for Jasmine, it's like, oh, I just want to be out in the city and then I would be free. And she runs away. Aladdin's looking at the palace and saying, oh, if I just had money and a place to, sleep and I didn't have to steal and whatever, I would be so free. And then Genie, obviously, phenomenal cosmic power, itty bitty living space. He's also dealing with, not real freedom. And it's things that I think get locked into your brain as a little kid, but you probably aren't able to speak to them, but it's speaking to something in you as a little kid. And it contributes to the magic of these movies when it resonates so deeply, but you can't even speak to it as a 5-year-old.
Well, this is the power of storytelling and myth, is that it's a seed. It's a planted seed and it lies dormant until your life experiences push on that seed. And when you go against the choices in your life that would turn that seed into an actual manifestation of your own choice to choose freedom, or in this case, great. But when you don't, when you decide to listen to the authority that doesn't feel right, or when you decide to tell yourself that you're not worthy of, fill in the blank, that's when it goes against these deep mythical, archetypical lessons, and you start to disconnect from your purpose and your path until this is the hero's journey, realize that, you have the autonomy and you have the ability to make these choices. And that is when you kind of push through the other side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, beautifully put.
All right, last one. 1994, your favorite Disney movie.
Yeah.
The Lion King.
The story is so good. The characters are so good. You want to like, within the first, 20 minutes of the movie, you're like on the verge of tears, when Mufasa dies.
Oh, yeah.
And those types of scenes just like, they gut you. And you're just like so...
Disney loves parents dying.
They do.
They just bring you in emotionally.
Well, they have to depict this.
Fucked up how they do that.
They have to depict the ultimate underdog, which is a child, a basically parentless child. Obviously, Simba still had his mom, but, we all know the story. When I think of The Lion King, the first thing that pops into my head as far as like major lessons is a quote actually by Carl Jung, when he says, "Until you make the unconscious conscious," in this case, Simba's childhood trauma and shame, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And another quote from Rafiki in the movie to reflect this: "The past can hurt, but the way I see it, you can either run from it or you can learn from it." And he's kind of the wise man, the sage, the weirdo sage. And I think it's so good because Simba was probably going to live like an okay life with Timon and Pumbaa just roaming around. He was probably going to be a bachelor, but he wasn't living up to his full potential. And he was, willingly staying unconscious to what happened in his past, didn't ever want to talk about it, didn't want to bring it up. And it was directing his life into this place where, he wasn't living up to his potential. And, you will call it fate. And so I think when, I don't think it's Nala, I think it is Rafiki that finally gets through to him as like, or no, maybe it's his dad. I think it's his dad. It's Mufasa. When he shows up in the sky, in the stars, and he's like, "Remember who you are. You are my son and the one true king."
Very nice. Rest in peace, James Earl Jones. But thankfully, he's got you to replace his position as the voice of Mufasa and Darth Vader. Such a really important lesson, and I think we all can resonate with this. But I've seen it actually in a lot of adult men. Especially like in my career, you see these examples and you get to know people who've clearly got something in their past that they're ashamed of. Maybe it's the fact that they've neglected their family and they've chosen their career over their family. And so they actually double down instead of going and just facing the fact that, maybe they've got a divorce and, distant relationships with their children that are growing up. Instead of going back and ripping the Band-Aid off and actually dealing with it, they double, triple, quadruple down on their work. And their whole life is their freaking work. And they're miserable, but they're avoiding. It's better for them to make themselves miserable through their work obsession than it is to like turn around and look at the chaos that they've caused in their past.
Are you talking about my dad?
Maybe, but like I've seen this play out in like men that I've known in my life specifically. And again, it's a very deeply resonating lesson that I think we have the opportunity to learn from through the modality of Simba. And then another little spiritual nugget that I love from this movie is just the circle of birth, life, and death. It's kind of almost a sing-song theme that slips by you when you're watching the movie. But as I go back and look at it or think about it as an adult, I'm reminded of this like circle of life idea. You just think it's the Elton John song that kicks off the movie, but it's actually this really beautiful concept that, of course, I've found to be true in my psychedelic experiences and my connection with nature and my connection with the earth. And so I'll read a little quote from the late, great James Earl Jones. "Everything you see exists together in a delicate balance. As king, you need to understand that balance and respect all the creatures, from the crawling ant to the leaping antelope. When we die, our bodies become the grass, and the antelope eat the grass. And so we are all connected in the great circle of life.
Dude, that's killer.
How good is that?
That's killer writing.
When we watch this show with our child, we're going to be like pausing and going back instead of being like, all right, you've got the fun song coming up.
Yeah.
But we're going to pay a little extra attention to this one.
Yeah.
And then I'll take the opportunity to teach them about the fact that, hey, this is very real. And this is actually how nature works.
Yeah. And take that moment to, talk about why we order from wild pastures, right?
Right.
Because
use coupon code medicine, MEDICIN.
no, but for real, it's like, that's why we're very particular about the food that we eat, because we want to know what food our food has eaten, and it becomes our bodies. And, we want to keep our bodies healthy. And we're totally going to use Disney movies as like part of the household curriculum.
Yeah. All right. So that wraps up the millennial mindfulness appetizer, but I think we'll come back to the Disney stories, because I'm even thinking about more Peter Pan and Pocahontas. I mean, there's so many more that we could jump into. If you liked that segment, let us know, by the way. If you thought it was dumb or corny, you can let us know as well.
Yeah.
It'll help us decide whether or not we do this again. But if you digged it, leave us a comment in YouTube or send us a DM or whatever.
And millennial mindfulness can be about, anything from the millennial type of nostalgic treasure trove. It's not necessarily just about Disney movies.
No.
This is just one that stuck out to us.
All right. Last appetizer before we get to the entree, jumping into a recurring segment we call Cringe Corner.
Oh, man. Yeah. I mean, really, when you're scrolling Instagram or social media in general, almost like every other thing could be, added to this segment, Cringe Corner.
Life itself right now is Cringe Corner.
This is on the day after the presidential debate. It's just like, oh my God, the whole thing was Cringe Corner. But I thought this one was funny, also sad, but definitely very cringy. So this meme, or just, I don't even know what to call these. They're not memes. It's literally just a picture with words.
There's probably a name for it, but we're just too old to understand
memes. We call everything a meme.
Yep.
But it's these two guys that look like they're in their early 50s, maybe mid 40s, and with a news headline. It's their mugshots. And they say, 2 Arkansas men arrested for taking turns shooting each other while wearing bulletproof vests after drinking. Someone commented on it and said, God forbid men have hobbies. But I'm just like, I saw this and I was like, oh my God, men and women are so different.
It reminds me of when my brother and I were kids. We put wetsuits on, and we stuffed the wetsuits with like towels and stuff. Then we put life jackets on, and we put our four-wheeling like motocross style helmets on. And then we grabbed swimming noodles, and we went out and just started smacking each other with the swimming noodles, thinking that we would protect ourselves from the whiplash, but we couldn't feel anything that was going on. So we were just sitting there swinging as hard as we could, getting super sweaty in these outfits, only to not experience kind of what makes something like fighting with noodles fun, which is a little bit of the
pain. Whip. Yeah, the whip. What did your mom say? Was she all for that activity?
I mean, I think I'm pretty sure she was not aware.
Moral of this story is, don't shoot your friends.
I mean, if you're going to, maybe make sure you're wearing bulletproof attire.
All right.
Cue the music. The entree is approaching the table. We've got 3 relationship questions submitted from none other than our beautiful audience. And as always, we don't prepare, we don't research. These are coming off the cuff, baby.
Yeah.
Our feedback is from our experience, from the fact that we've had a beautiful opportunity to work with some of the greatest teachers in the space, John Wineland, Paul Check, Mark Groves, just to name a few, and our own relationship history, our own relationship story, and the deep work that we have done. So we are not therapists, we are not doctors, but take our words and apply them if you'd like.
Take what resonates, leave the rest.
All right, first question. I'm having difficulty staying monogamous. Nothing has actually happened, but a few times I have developed feelings for different people after spending time with them. What do you think is going on, and what should I do?
Yeah, this is kind of a weird one. I don't think I've ever heard this kind of question exactly, or heard it asked to, a teacher or whatever, therapist. But the first thing that comes to my mind when I hear this question is, if you're having difficulty staying monogamous with multiple different people in multiple different instances and situations, it's probably good feedback that you shouldn't be in an exclusive monogamous relationship. Maybe this is your intuition nudging you towards, being more of an exploratory phase where you might want to date some other people. We don't know, but maybe this person they've been together a long time, or maybe they're high school sweethearts or whatever. I think that it's a lot more respectable, and it's hard in a different way, but choosing to take a break from your current partner to at least pull on this thread a little bit is more respectable than hurting your partner and, making a stupid mistake. And the other thing that I think about is something that London Angel Winters and Justin Patrick Pierce talk about all the time. They talk about polarity all the time, which is this spark between a masculine and feminine, in that dynamic. You can feel that spark with a stranger. You can feel that spark with someone you meet at the grocery store. You can feel that spark with a friend or whatever. Like the polarizing spark can happen with other people that are not your partner, because that's what happens between the masculine and feminine. It's speaking to having a good connection with someone. Yeah. And so that doesn't mean that you need to go any further with it. Like, just observe it and know that this is a very normal human thing that a lot of people deal with. It doesn't mean that you necessarily need to fall in love with this person or date this person.
Yeah, I think if you're in a relationship and you find yourself having a spark with other individuals, you build rapport easily with other individuals. There's even if there's a flirtatious energy about some of the exchanges, but you're not wanting to, have sex with them, don't beat yourself up. That's a very normal thing, just to have good rapport building skills with other people. However, if you're in a relationship and every single person you meet, you're fantasizing about having sex with those people, and then, find yourself actually cheating on your partner by doing so, you owe it to your partner to tell them that you're not currently in a place in your life where you're able to support a committed monogamous relationship. It's obvious, right? It is more damage to cheat on your partner than it is to have the difficult conversation to say that I'm not ready for it. And then I would say, if it's not just a phase, right? Maybe this is a long pattern, and you're getting to the point where you're like, okay, on one side, I'm ready to settle down and have a committed relationship and, experience what deep monogamous intimacy looks like, but you literally cannot keep from having sex with other people or hooking up with other people. You may have a compulsive sex habit. You may be using sex or other relationships as a neurotic way to fill a potential void. And in that case, if this has been going on a while and you actually do desire having a more committed monogamous relationship, you might need to seek some support or some help. People like John Wineland, Mark Groves, Justin and London, these are really good avenues for maybe learning a bit more about why.
Yeah.
I might say that there could be I would ask questions if I was working or talking with this person about their parents' relationship or critical relationships in their life when they were young. Did they model monogamy, or was there infidelity and cheating or cyclical relationship behavior from one person to another? that may be the programming that's playing out in your life because you haven't gone to the work of rewiring how you consider normal relationships to be.
Yeah.
And so spend a little time in reflection. I think there's a version of this that's very normal when you're in your 20s and you're exploring and you're like, whoa, tap the brakes. I'm not ready to like totally settle down. But there's a part of this that obviously goes too far. And there's other human beings' feelings and hearts to be considered. Yeah. And so, take a little bit of an inventory as to where you fall in all the things that we said. And then based on how that shows up for you, have a conversation with your partner. If that meets the criteria, maybe enjoy this phase of your life, but start to think about what it could or should look like if you do decide to be in a monogamous relationship and what you can start working on or developing from a relationship muscle perspective to be able to facilitate that at some point. Or three, maybe this is a compulsion. Maybe this is a neurotic tendency that you could use some professional support on.
Another option is if you find yourself thinking about other people or your connection with other people or looking at other couples, it may be just a sign, a nudge from your intuition that you're actually desiring to go deeper with your partner. Like you're desiring more from the relationship with your current partner. And if you feel completely unfulfilled, it's human nature to pay attention to, other people or have a wandering eye. If you're completely not fulfilled in your relationship, maybe this isn't your person, or maybe you are actually desiring to go deeper with them. And if that's resonating with you, if that seems like, actually that could be it, then I would, go to a workshop with your partner. One like John Wineland, he puts on workshops all the time. There's tons that you could look into. And this is just one idea. You could read a book with your partner. There's also that too. But if that's resonating, then there's a bunch of different ways that you can go deeper with your current partner and, squeeze more juice out of that relationship. Yeah. You'll have to get honest with yourself and see what resonates.
Good call. Next question. We had a lot of questions this week pertaining to communication. So this will actually apply to a few. My partner and I struggle with communication. I say something and it is interpreted completely differently. For example, one day we were cuddling on the couch watching a movie and I mentioned to him that I loved this and wished we could do it more. He immediately got very defensive and angry, explaining that he's been working his ass off, trying to provide for our family. It makes me reluctant to say anything for fear of it being taken the wrong way.
Yeah. This is a tough one because it's one that I can easily see and have empathy for both sides. In this specific example that she gives us, but we've all been there where we say something and our partner takes it the wrong way or takes it a way that we didn't intend. And I don't think it's necessarily one person or the other's fault. I think that this is a sign that both people could sharpen up, could polish their communication skills a little bit better. Now, in this situation, in this example that she gave, it does seem like it's like, whoa, dude, like settle down. But again, it's easy for me to see like a guy that is working his ass off and maybe he doesn't feel appreciated. Maybe he's working a ton and she's not showing gratitude. And the moment that he's interpreting this as like even less gratitude for his work, it's an easy like pop off and he's probably like stressed. And so I can have empathy for that position too.
Or like a father who and a husband, one of his core values is provision and providing. Mm-hmm. And if he's working and bringing home the bacon and providing safety and balancing multiple things in life, to hear somebody needs more from him might just be the last drop.
Yeah, it can feel
puts him over the top.
And for her, she's like, she's just expressing her love for this moment.
Of course.
Right. And there's nothing wrong with that. And you should be able to do that. So I think that there's like, all right, dude, guys, settle down. She's just expressing her love for you, basically. But he's hearing like, I'm not good enough. I'm not enough. I'm not giving her enough. If this is a recurring situation where you're saying things and your partner is taking them completely out of context or not understanding or twisting your words or whatever, I think you need to lean into more of a container type communication, protocol.
Get to the thing behind the thing.
Yeah. But what I mean is like, if they're having like a charged conversation, you need to set up like parameters. You need to set up like guidelines where I'm going to say something, and just so that I know that you heard what I'm saying and what I mean, would you please, would you be willing to just like say it back to me so I know that you're really hearing my heart? Because I want to make sure that I'm communicating the best way possible.
When I say the following, what do you hear?
Yeah. Yeah. You could follow up with that question.
And then say, I'm sorry, this is what I mean. Or that's not what I meant. This is what I mean.
And she's probably doing that. But I think if it's happening over and over, there might be, because that just gets exhausting. Because then, like she said, it makes her reluctant to say anything. And that's just kind of like now permeated through life. So I think especially if you're in a charged conversation, having something like the check-in, which we have a whole episode on, where you're setting up a safe space to like share your thoughts with your partner, and you're both coming to this knowing what it is, agreeing to it, and playing by the rules, so to speak. I think that that's a lot more productive. And I think the episode is 113 where we discuss the check-in. So that's an option. I'm not saying that it's needs to happen every single day, but it's an option if this is recurring.
I think without knowing more than what has been listed on this question, a safe, contained conversation in the way that we spelled out would be the starting point. I think a check-in going forward from that point would be really helpful. But until you get to the thing behind the thing, from him especially, based on this question, it will be kind of assumption-based. So
if putting yourself in his shoes, and if I was the woman, how would you want to be approached for her to help kind of extract the thing behind the thing? As a man, like, how would you want to be approached by me so what we can figure out the thing behind the thing together?
Just the way that I said. I'd like to have a conversation with you. Since I'm sensing responsiveness maybe trigger from when I say things like, I would love more of this. I want to talk about this because I want to get to the source of why you feel that way, that you need to respond that way. My intention is to express something that I love. So when you're ready, can we have a non-charged conversation to get to the bottom of why you feel the need to express frustration or fatigue or list all of the things that you're doing in response to my request for more intimacy. And then what I don't want from the, things that we've talked about on the show often, no yelling, no name calling, no bringing up the past as a point to hurt, only to evaluate. And then let's get to the bottom of maybe where this is coming from. Most likely, this just comes down to, worst case, this comes down to an emotionally immature partner who is probably tired and a button was pressed and their insecurity prompts this sort of aggressive response. A good or a likely outcome is that dude guy loves the hell out of his wife.
He might be feeling some level of guilt or something.
Yeah, maybe
that's triggering him.
Maybe he's the one when he's working late or gone for the weekend traveling or spending time doing things around the house because he's trying to build the perfect home for I'm making all this stuff up. I have no freaking clue in this case, that he's actually beating himself up. And so one more little drop in the bucket of you're not enough. And he tells himself one more story of you're not enough.
Yeah.
And that his response to being, to carrying guilt is anger, which is a very common masculine response to anything.
Yeah.
And so I sympathize with guys in this circumstance, because guys tell themselves this story when it comes to their relationship and their family all the time. Let me just work super hard through this one thing, and then I'll just take a little break.
And I'm doing this for them.
Let me just grind for a little while, and then I'll just get a chance to breathe. And then it's at that moment when they get a chance to breathe that their wife says, you're not doing enough, or their kid, asks them to do something.
Or they hear you're not doing enough.
And so it's like, fucking, so I understand, because I just have seen it a million times. I felt it in my own body at the same time. And so this is one of those cases where let's just assume these people aren't emotionally immature and deeply insecure, because that fucks up any chance at making this a really healthy next step. Let's just assume that all best intentions and there's real emotional maturity here. This is just the perfect opportunity to up-level your relationship.
Yep.
And it starts with a deep, safe conversation and an accountability to the outcomes that you've come to through that safe conversation, which I think a check-in facilitates beautifully.
Everything comes back to communication in relationship, because if that isn't working or is dysfunctional, then probably everything else in your relationship will feel dysfunctional to some degree.
Yeah.
I think it's probably the theme that we get the most questions around is communication. So I hope that helped. All right, last question here. Asking for help is a hard area for me in all my relationships, but especially in my romantic relationship. What could be causing this, and how can I ask for help without feeling like I am weak?
Ooh, good one. I'll jump in here. I totally get it. I deal with this all the time. I don't like asking for help. I don't like seeming as if I don't know how to do something. I don't like owing somebody something if they do help me. I don't like the idea that I have to be dependent on someone else, because if they leave me, what am I going to do without being able to depend on them? And obviously I'm a middle child. And so there's some childhood components to this where it was always, well, fuck it, I'll just do it myself then. Our marriage and our divorce kind of amplified this, because we had codependent patterns. And it got to the point where I couldn't depend on you, obviously. And then we divorced. And I told myself, I'm never going to trust someone ever again. And so I continue to deal with, when I'm struggling with something, the proper next step would be to genuinely and sincerely ask for help. One, I barely know how to do that.
I don't remember the last time you asked me for help to help you with something.
It's very challenging for me. And so what I'm saying to this person is, and I'm saying to myself, complete the loop of asking for help, choosing trust, and allowing that decision to manifest as being helped, and seeing the positive results of your life when someone does help you. Once that loop is established, for someone like me, if I have the equation and the formula that equates to a better way of living and being, then I have a lot more confidence the next time going forward. So it is just surrendering to that first or second choice of asking sincerely for help.
Yeah. I think you just spelled out perfectly. You've done a lot of self-development. You've done a lot of reflection on why. It doesn't necessarily, as soon as you know why, you flip a switch and like, oh, all of a sudden I can do it now. But I think understanding why and where this comes from is helpful, because you're almost like you're naming it to tame it a little bit, where you're just making more of this thing conscious. So I think for this person, get out a journal or a piece of paper, whatever, and put 5 minutes on a timer on your phone and just write. Don't judge anything. Don't plan anything. Just free form write, starting with the question, why is it hard for me to ask for help? And just write down every thought that comes to your mind. What's going to happen if you ask for help and they don't want to? Or what's going to happen if they fail you? Or if they abandon you? Or if whatever, what are all your fears around this? And try to source it back to something, where is this coming from in your life? Just like you did. You know exactly where this comes from in your life. I think that kind of exercise can be really, cathartic, because this is probably something she's or he, I think this is a woman, judged herself for, something that she probably doesn't like about herself, but it's hard to change. We certainly all have those things, but I think just writing and getting it out can be almost like a sort of release, and just feel like you're understanding more about yourself, so that when the next time it comes up where you could ask for help, you have all these things in your mind where it's like, oh yeah, I think it's because when I was 6, my dad left and my mom had to do everything on her own. And so I witnessed, my primary parent doing everything on her own, and she never asked for help. So I never had a model of what that looked like. I'm making this up, obviously. But then you can just be like, oh yeah, that was my child self. So this is me. You can just kind of sift through some of the details and push them aside. Know that it was a program that was, that helped you in some way in your life, but it's probably not serving you now. And you can choose, in spite of those things, to take a different path.
Really good. All right.
Hopefully that helped.
Closing this out with a crazy story. And this is a few. These are people's responses to what is the most disturbing thing that they've heard said casually.
Oh.
I'm a pre-K teacher, and one day I was doing lessons. One of my 4-year-old boys asked me if I kill small animals. Horrified, I said, no. Why would you ask me that? And he said, I want to do that because I'm not big enough to kill people yet.
Oh my God.
Had to report it to my admin staff. They called a meeting with his parents. The parents just laughed it off. I'll be looking for that kid's name in the news in 15 years.
The parents laughed it off? I don't know if I'd be laughing it off.
I was working at a gas station when I was 17, 18 years old. The corporate offices were directly behind us, so they would come and get lunch and snacks from time to time. One man in particular always came to my register. One day, when his wife stepped away to grab something, he casually said to me, I want to tie you up, throw you in the back of my truck, and drive away.
Oh.
It was the creepiest thing anyone had ever said to me, and the way he said it, so casually and nonchalant. I quit very quickly after that.
Oh my God.
I worked medical health equipment delivery in college for a short amount of time. I was delivering some equipment from the company to an old, sweet couple. Husband was wheelchair bound with severe issues. As I was doing the assembly with earshot of them, the old man was groaning, saying he'd given up and was ready to check out. His old lovely wife was sitting there, rubbing his face, giving him words of encouragement. She said, come on, Jim. You're the strongest man I've ever known. You will come out of this. You're a fighter and a survivor. Remember who you are. You're the man that killed 3 people, and the cops didn't even catch you. I pretended I didn't hear that and noped it right out of there.
Oh my God.
Something I once heard in passing, a stranger say, for which I really have no context. He wears a scarf around his neck, so you can't see where he's decaying. I've been curious for years, and it annoys me that I'll never know. And that's enough.
Oh, man.
Moral of the story for me is keep a journal of random shit because it really makes for great storytelling.
There was kind of like a killing theme in there.
Oh, you keep a journal too because you may end up solving
creepy.
a murder at some point.
Yeah, totally. Moral of the story, if you hear someone talking about they killed 3 people, call the police.
Yeah.
Even if he's in a wheelchair. All right, you guys. We hope you laughed. We hope,
You cried?
well, only if it's
joy.
tears of joy, or thinking about Mufasa. We hope that our relationship wisdom helped in some way if these were one of your questions. If you would like to submit a question for us to address on an upcoming episode, you can always email us at themedicinepodcast@gmail.com, medicine with no E on the end. And we'll check out your question and maybe you'll hear it on an upcoming episode. Thank you for listening. We love you. We mean it. And we'll talk to you next time. Go spread some light. Okay, bye.
Yeah. Thank you so much for listening.
If you enjoyed that, check out right over here for some more fun clips.
Oh, and you're going to want to subscribe.
Bye.